Did you watch that YouTube video I recommended?
The one of the turtle in the tank?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it was good. Real good.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Did it have to be 3 hours though?
When the owner put the hell in it?
Point taken. Good content. Good content. Yeah, real good content. Real good content.
Well, at least you're on time.
Is my order as per my liking?
Of course, Pappy. I followed it to a T.
Zinger box?
Yep.
Wicked wings at the side?
Mm-hmm.
Mayo on the bottom with the lettuce?
Yep.
Chicken on top with the supercharge?
Yep.
Barbecue sauce?
Yep.
Sweet and sour sauce?
Aha! No. Trick question. KFC sweet and sour sauce sucks.
Yes, that is correct. Sweet and sour sauce does suck.
Mm-hmm.
Extra salt on the chips.
You still doubt me.
Potato and gravy placed next to the burger, but not the chips, in case of sweating affecting the chips.
Of course.
Good work. This is good.
Presume everything's in order.
Yes, Mr. Panfa?
Zinger box?
Oh, I got you a 2-piece feed.
Can't even have a fucking nice meal together. For fuck's sake.
But I got you extra potato and gravy.
Nobody wants potato and gravy, mate. It's a fucking moondog of the box. It's there, but nobody fucking wants it.
Fucking up, bud.
It's time for arguably Australia's #1 beer podcast, The Step Brewers. With your hosts, Papa Sweden and the Pilly Panfa, formerly known as the Juice Wolf. Oh, and the WEG. Take it away, boys.
Oh, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Guys, how many times do I have to tell you? My name isn't Dennis.
No one pays you to say that shit, mate. That's enough of that.
Dennis, shut up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode 60, West Coast or Die. Wow.
Yee-hoo, boys.
That didn't take
Fuck
long.
off.
Yeah. Okay. This hat's fucking annoying. And
I've been fucking angry about this all week. These two have been scheming. They're like, oh, if we're doing a West Coast episode, we're going to dress up as cowboys and it's going to be Western. And the fact that he's wearing his stupid expensive hat and it doesn't fit with the headphones.
Yee-hoo! Oh, yeah, baby. West Coast episode. It's time for a West Coast beer in your mouth.
Brings me immense joy.
I had to keep it on for at least 10 seconds. Joy. Can I hang it here?
It's a very nice. No, that'll wreck the shot. It's a very nice. What is it? A Stetson?
That's nice. That's a Stetson. Oh, that is going to ruin the shot. I'll put that right there.
All right. Well, tonight, the WEG on his little beer journey has requested this, and a lot of people have suggested this. West Coast IPAs.
Yes.
He only just had his first Hawker's West Coast IPA last episode.
Yeah.
He
started with the double.
The double, sorry.
No, he did start with the double and he's only just had the single.
Well, so tonight we thought we should get into a West Coast dedicated episode. So we've got a bunch of West Coast, a little hint about who's coming on maybe, a little bit of fixie maybe. Not bad.
Yum.
So Weg, here's your first fixation, which is a travesty in itself.
That is terrible from you.
Tonight I have with me the Pilly Panther himself.
Hello. I'm very much looking forward to fully dedicated West Coast episode for a
It's been a while.
very long time. What better time to do it than episode 60?
What a time to be alive.
It's only taken 60 episodes to do a full West Coast episode. That's disgraceful.
That is disgraceful.
From us, and we apologise.
Welcome, WEG. Pleasure to have you as always.
Nice to be here.
And our special guest tonight. A little bit of an intro here. Ooh. If you catch the 86 tram on a full moon's night, head down to Easy's and look to the northwest. You may catch a glimpse of this man, shirtless, with only a branch of hops covering him, his moustache glistening with resin-laden IPA, howling at the moon. You might not know this, but he's brewed over 130 IPAs in the 2 years that the incubator has been open. 130 plus IPAs. Hailing from large champion brewer of 2019, it's Sam Bethune. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Very
Pleasure to be here. That's definitely one of the more poetic intros I've ever received. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very nice to have you guys on video. I've got to remember to stop looking over at WEG's screen, which is where you are, but it is great to have you here. But you know who else we got here? It's been said that he once ran a very successful improv comedy show, and that his joke continues to be funny to this day. He's one of the most liked blokes in the Australian beer scene, and possibly one of the only reasons people still buy Fixation. It's your boy, the king of IPA, the royal of resin, the baron of bitterness, Tommy Delmont.
Yeah.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, so good to have you on.
Who else
finally.
could we have on such an episode?
We've met Tom before, though, haven't we, Alistair?
Yes, we have met Tom at Fixation. It was great.
Would you like to formally apologise now?
It was a great day, and I had a great time. Thank you for your lovely accommodating spirit, Tom, and I just really just immersed myself in information.
I'd just like to set the scene here, if I may, for a moment, because we always love to bring up me at Gabs in 2017 when I wasn't drunk, I just needed a water.
Was that long ago?
I don't know when it was. But let's set the scene here. So, Pilly Panfa, formerly the Juice Wolf, formerly the Pastry Bear, had a bit of a night on the Amundsen pastry stouts. Felt a little bit raw the other day. We went out to the incubator. Tom takes his time to leave a beer festival to come chat to us.
Yep.
And you just sat there in silence the whole time, trying to choke down an 86, and you looked like death.
I just couldn't hack it that day, Tom, and I apologise. It was not good enough, and I have
given you shit ever since.
I don't think I've ever felt that unwell the next day from a hangover, and
I do vaguely recall you weren't in top form,
No.
Ali, but that's okay, mate. I understand that sometimes those big stouts can get the better of you, and you know sometimes your enthusiasm can outweigh your ability the night before.
That's very true.
learned that very, very quickly
true.
that night, and I don't think I've ever done it again. So there you go.
Well, today we are talking about West Coast, but before we get into West Coast IPAs, I want to know, Ali, Pilly Panfa, best beer of the last fortnight.
Best beer of the last fortnight. Haven't drank too much, to be honest. I've been a good boy. I had a Goose Boon recently.
Little Goosey Boon.
Yeah.
Little goozy boy.
Went back to have a classic, and that was probably one of my favourite beers of the last couple of weeks. It was nice to revisit. So, but yeah, nothing really has been hitting my fridge lately. I've been a good boy and finishing off all the engagement leftovers in my fridge.
Very nice, very nice.
But you know, table beer from Wildflower has actually.
So it's just
I
pull out all the
no, I just
flavors.
remembered I've been drinking a lot of table beer, so that's my thing.
I polished off the rest of our Hawkers pack, so sorry. Weg, what have you been enjoying?
Hawkers West Coast IPA.
Have you? Oh, very good, very good. Boys, best beer of the last fortnight, can you think? Maybe the year for you guys.
I don't know. Beer is often a bit about context and whatnot. So outside of the craft beer world, my venue manager, Ferg, we're down at the local Irish pub the other night, and a good pint of Guinness with the traditional Irish.
Pig.
Which was,
That'll do, pig.
some of the first live music I've heard in a long time, especially in Melbourne. So that was a pretty special couple of pints. And IPA wise, stopped in, saw the last can of Garage Project's Fresh January on the shelves a couple of weeks ago, and hadn't tried it, so had to give that a bell. And absolute belter. So yeah, the Fresh series is really
Sammy,
really good.
what was your chug time on your pig? Just curious.
Do you know about this?
There's Very special
So
group.
Very blank expression. Right?
He's just like,
Yeah.
So you may not be aware. I'll add you in after the show, but a few Aussie brewers and a few Patreons of our show are in an American group. There's only about 300 people in this Facebook group called Guinness is Purgatory, and basically you just chug a pig and you just compliment your fellow kings and queens, just make everyone feel good. And I don't know if you know Curran from up at previously Black Hops and now Easy Times Brewing. He's got a very similar hairstyle and mo to you.
moustache, yes.
Might be a bit of a contender. Well, he's the reigning Aussie champ. I think he's about 2.26 seconds for a Guinness pint.
Well, that's pretty quick. I'm definitely not built for speed, but I'll give it a crack.
We'll get you in there.
Enthusiasm over performance, I reckon.
Well, our good mate Smokey from Currumbin Valley, he's all about the enthusiasm over performance also.
Yeah,
sorry, Smokey, but you are very slow.
It's not great. Very slow.
What about you, Tommy? What's been tickling your pickle?
Oh man, I was thrilled to have my first holiday in a long time and snuck over to my home state of South Australia and went camping with some old mates. And we were all getting a little bit older in the scheme of things. Got some little kids, so he had some Little Bangers from Little Bang, which was a nice 3.5%.
Lovely,
nice.
Tasty session IPA, and also I was lucky enough to secure a Harmonic Convergence, which is the East Coast Hazy Sour IPA from Garage Project from my mate Adam. And that was just awesome. It was a blend of their photo wild sort of project with a hazy hoppy number, and it was just beautiful.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think you mean Fodre.
Is that how you pronounce it,
No,
Ali? Fodre?
that's not how
Fodre.
you pronounce it.
Fodre?
Yeah, Fodre. I said that one time because I was in the heat of the moment and I fucked
I
up.
must be going on the American pronunciation.
Austrian, actually.
But yeah, that Harmonic Convergence was just. I even messaged Sam mid beer and go, "Man, you got to track one of these down." It's just. Beautiful.
I've heard that. I have heard good things. I haven't tried one. Have you got one for me?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
I did see the can was at the brewery for a day or two that I thought I might get a chance to share, and it was just like sort of a quick pass through in my life. I got to hold it and see it, and it was gone into Tommy's cellar. So he said great things. So I'll have to try and track one.
Very good, very good. Well, tonight's episode is, as ever, brought to you by our wonderful and growing Patreon.
Is it ever growing?
Big community out on Patreon and on our private Facebook group, Official Friends and Homies of the Show. We have a new Patreon today, Chiller, Grant Chilcott.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Spotty fam.
Welcome.
That's what we like to see.
Spotty fam.
That's what we like to see.
Only on the lowest tier, though.
That's why you got no wow.
On the WEG tier.
Yeah, the WEG tier.
So you're not giving out wows for low tier
Nah.
Patreons.
My tier are going to get a special. I'm going to make them a stab of their own, I think.
Oh.
Wow, okay. So thank you to the Patreon. I hope you've all been enjoying our little extra 30-minute session at the end of the episodes, the video content, raw thoughts. You going to get raw tonight?
Quite possibly get.
I've got Noah Karsha in the lineup, so you need to come up with something else to bag out this week.
I can bring it up whenever I want.
I can see some Spotty Dog cans, so we could start there.
All right, let's move on. Ali, take it away, sir.
All right. We are going to play Sip, Skip or Cellar. Let's hit that jingle. Now, being a West Coast IPA episode, boys, I thought I'd keep Sip, Skip or Cellar very West Coast themed for this one. So I'm going to run off some new beers going around Australia at the time of recording, kicking off with White Bay Brewing with their West Coast IPA. Don't know the hops or anything in this one, but it's a bit blend of hops, cryo and incognito, which is sounds pretty good to me. I do like White Bay. Don't have enough of it myself personally. Would like to get a couple more orders, I reckon, this year. Being a West Coast, being White Bay, I'm going to sip on it. Klimt?
I'm just a sip. Yeah, I'm just a sip.
WEG?
Yeah, sip. That's all.
Jeez, okay.
It was fun tonight.
Sammy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, definitely sip. One of the few breweries I've bought a few beers from directly through lockdown and stuff, and doing some good stuff in their IPAs, and anything with incognito in it, I will definitely sip. So sip for me.
It is a bit of a hypey thing at the moment, incognito, isn't it? Delicious, though. Tommy?
Definitely sip. Dennis is an old mate. We've made some beers when he was at Modus. with him and the WEG chief and Sammy. And, that would be a sip and enjoy.
Very good. I think we're all going to be sipping quite a few of these, and this one's not going to be very drama-filled, but we're kicking the next one off. One Drop just had their second birthday
Here we go.
on the weekend. Lots of big releases from those guys. Some funky-looking stuff. Might have put in an order for you, Clint. Full of some...
Shout out to Nick.
Can't wait.
I've been chatting to Nick from One Drop.
You have been. But I'll keep it West Coast themed again. They've done a 7 Seas West Coast IPA.
Like a pirate shanty West Coast IPA.
No?
Like a 7 Seas.
No. Seas as in the letter C.
Oh, okay.
They have hopped the absolute buggery out of it with all the hops that start with C, like Citra, Columbus, and then there's more.
Cascade, Centennial.
I can't name 7 off the top of my head, but it does sound good. It says their most ambitious West Coast hobby boy yet. And on that note, I'm definitely going to be sipping, maybe cellaring, depending on how good it is. What do you think about this?
I read the description of it and, all the trademark One Drop hype up. But I do love the sea hops, and they slipped a few little extra new school ones in there. I'll probably hit that. Did you order me some of that?
I did order you kindly some of that.
Thank you, sir.
There is a 4-pack on the way.
Thank you, sir.
What about you, WEG?
Um,
Have you had One Drop before?
yeah.
What did you have?
I had one of their the can vent beer.
One of their stupid beers. Okay.
Well,
The salted one.
the nitro.
Salted pecan nitro.
yeah.
Yeah. It was good. It was all right.
The emoji beer.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm halfway between sip and cellar, I think.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to stick with a sip for now, maybe move.
So you've had a Hawker's West Coast, a Hawker's Double West Coast, and now a Fixie beer, and all the West Coasts are just going to be cellars.
Well, there's nothing wrong with them so far.
Do you like the, what do you think, Wegger, the Fixie
Yeah, it was
IPA?
nice. I was very bitter. I like it.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay.
That's
Fresh.
all you have to say for the boys here. They,
Yep.
They're, they want more critique.
Because he's hiding behind the webcam.
They can't see your face. It's fine. Okay, a wink is all he's going to go.
Wow.
What about you two boys? Sammy, what do you think about this one from One Drop?
Well, I hadn't heard of it, but I'm very intrigued just by the name on it. Purely because one of my good mates, a sales rep called Evan, has been pushing me to make a beer called the 7 Seas for the last year and a half. So I think the name has been waiting to be taken. I haven't done anything with it, and fair play to One Drop. So myself, I will sip it, but I'll also sell a can so that I can shove it in his face every time.
That's on you, Evan. That's on you, mate.
Yeah, it sounds good.
That's great. And what about you, Tommy? What do you think?
I remember when it was the 3 Cs, were a classic American IPA, and then it was the 4 Cs.
It's fucking 7 now.
7, that's taking it to a One Drop level, and I'd give it a go. Sip.
Yeah. It was probably the most reasonable sounding of all their releases for their birthday.
Oh, come on, man.
What are you talking about? Have you not seen the green
I've seen
beer?
the fucking...
Come on.
Honestly, no. Hat off to One Drop. When that green spirulina monstrosity got released, my phone went nuts for about an hour and a half of assholes, and I'm talking to you, tagging me and sending me DMs and being like, how many would you like? And then One Drop tagging me. It's fine, guys. I'll drink one.
A 4-pack is on the way. So
Yuck.
that's all I'm going to say. It's going to be quite interesting. But another beer on the list, and that we actually have in front of us, which we will be sipping, it doesn't even matter what I say about it, is the new one from Bolter, which we got sent. So thank you to the team.
Got a nice little note here from Sterling.
Oh, here we go. You're going to make up some more notes, or?
I didn't make up that Hawker's note. Just full disclosure, it's over there still somewhere. Hey, Clint, you're my favourite step brewer.
Hey, well,
You're my favourite step brewer.
Yep.
And that Pilly Panfa guy keeps changing his name, so I can't remember what he is right now. Step brewer's arguably the best. Get it in your beak. Cheers, Sterling. May or may not say that. I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know.
oh, God. The beer itself, though, is Cryomofo, a mix of Cryo Mosaic and Laurel.
Laurel.
Yeah, well,
Fodre.
Fodre, Laurel, I like to put some flavour on my words. This looks, sounds amazing. I reckon that's going to drink quite nicely. I am sipping right now, so I will sip.
No, you're not.
Oh,
You're drinking Metamorphosis by Kaiju.
I'll be sipping just a sec.
Yeah, thanks, Sterling, for sending those out. We thought this would be good to put on the show because I know Scotty from Bolter has said before that he thinks that the landscape of West Coast IPA has moved away from the Stone Brewing sort of heavy bitterness. And we often know when West Coast IPAs get released and they're not really bitter or old school, a lot of beer nerds lose their shit. So I thought it might be nice to chuck in a couple of new school West Coasts.
Yep. I expect it not to be too bitter, a lot more clean.
Super balanced.
Not safe's the wrong word, but, you know.
Maybe in Raw Thoughts.
Approachable.
Maybe in Raw Thoughts tonight we should talk about Bolter since they sold.
Maybe we can. But what do you boys think of this one? You going to be sipping it?
Oh, I'd be super keen to try it. My mate's work, sales reps there, and we had dinner the other night, and they were talking about it. So I'd be super keen to try it. I like Scotty and all his IPA iterations, so I reckon it'd be pretty solid. I just don't know how many assistants Sterlo has to write all those notes because there's a lot of notes.
Do you want to pass the note over?
You've thrown it away.
We've got another note here.
I think there's 30 full-time note writers at Bolter.
Yeah, there's got to be. They're all you know, direct too. But I mean, look at all the text he wrote for the beer.
He sends it to Crafty Pint and says, James, you're my favourite Crafty Pint.
Arguably the best Crafty Pint.
Arguably the best Crafty Pint.
Thank you, Sammy. What are your Sammy? What are your?
Yeah, come on, Sammy.
Credit where it's due. Cracker Brewery, independent or otherwise, they don't put out a bad beer. In my opinion, definitely sip anything out of Bolter. Any time of the day. Great crew.
I think it's been very interesting since they sold because we expected it to go the way of other breweries and it really hasn't. And I've had this before. I had mine the other night. I've left yours in the fridge. I'm a seller on that one.
You're a seller. Very nice.
Stock them up.
Very nice.
I've heard a lot of good things.
Yep.
If it's anything to go by all of the Instagram and Facebook can posts, then it must be all right. So I'll sip. Well, I'm going to sip anyway.
Very clever marketing.
Yeah.
Stills is coming on to chat about that.
Send a few free cans to people on Beer Thread and, well, hey, you've got a Gabs beer.
Wow, you're raw tonight.
That's okay.
You're jaded already.
Hey, Clem, when you say seller, do you mean
just stock up?
Keep it.
Definitely
keep it for
buy a few 4-packs or
seller
a case.
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting it in your linen closet, Tommy. I think you know that.
No. It just means you're super keen. You'd buy as much as you can. Not that you'd cellar it because look, we called it cellar early on, and we're not backing down now because the merch says cellar. So it's just staying that way.
Yeah.
And if Beer Healer tells me one more fucking time to change it,
it's not going to happen.
I'll end it.
But this next beer and the last one might be one you actually want to actually cellar. From our good friends at Dollar Bill, Candy Paint number 2 for 2021. I had this last year and it was phenomenal. 300 grams per litre of just straight up cherries. Yeah, I am cellaring. This is one I'm physically cellaring.
Cellaring and physically cellaring. I'll be hitting this up. Dollar Bill, what's the society member? So maybe I'll get one. I don't know. I'm hoping. Fee, Ed, gimme.
They're very limited last year. I was very lucky to get one, so it was good. Hopefully there might be a couple more floating around this year. Who knows? What do you think, Tommy? What do you think about this one?
Earth to Tom, have we got you there? But I've got a little mute icon next to him. Tom, can you hear us?
He's gone and muted himself.
Sorry.
Cheeky bugger.
So sorry. It was Dollar Bill Brewing and
Candy Paint.
All I know is I love almost everything I've had from Dollar Bill Brewing in Ballarat. So
super solid.
I would probably sell it and stock up as much as I could afford before the wife found out.
Yeah, that's wise. That's super wise.
Yeah. And what about you, Sammy?
I have generally only been passed little bits and pieces of Dollar Bill through friends in sharing bottles and things. hearing, like every brewer and stuff has great recommendations from them. I was hoping to add a fourth option though, because I never tend to find them to steal. So just sort of bottle if I saw going around.
Yeah,
I would get in there and just whip a sip off or try and peel a few off the side.
Sip, skip, cellar, or steal. That sounds good to me. I love it.
Is that what happens? Like, Tommy gets a few people coming to suck up to him at the incubator. They leave some beers in the cool room, and you've just through the side.
Oh, the cool room at our breweries, I imagine a lot of other breweries, just a rotating shelf of goodwill between breweries and friends and other things. Payment in beer can go so far, and it's always accepted, but you often end up with a bit of a stockpile and different things going around. So, the rotating cool rooms, the secret world.
Especially that little brewing community in Collingwood now, but we'll get to that later.
That is it, boys. I've got for Sip Skip.
Delicious.
Yeah, you gotta have a little palate cleanser in there with a little sour to finish things off.
I like that.
Can't just have bitterness all the time, can we? But we can for this.
We can tonight. That kaiju metamorphosis tasting pretty tasty.
Yeah,
very bitter.
That went down very quickly.
Not as fresh as the Fixie, but very delicious.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yee-hoo! Oh yeah, baby! West Coast episode! Baby, oh yeah! Yeehaw! Woo woo woo!
Time to change it up.
You two are not allowed to do that shit anymore.
I didn't know he did that. That's very funny, Weg. That's very funny, and I'm crying. That's very good.
You two are terrible people.
Put the hat back on for that one. That was beautiful, Weg. That was great. Oh, okay.
No, we can't do that.
Oh, the wild, wild West Coast, eh? Jesus Christ.
West Coast, the best coast.
I wasn't expecting that. That was great.
So tonight we just wanted a really good excuse to give Weg a whole bunch of West Coast IPAs. So a little bit of Fixie, a little bit of Kaiju, some classics, a little bit of new school Bolter here. But we really just wanted to talk about West Coast with literally, the kings of IPA. The West Coast, a dedicated IPA brewery, which sounded silly X years ago and now is like, oh yeah, you can totally do that.
Yeah.
So that is why we got the gentleman on tonight. But we've had a little Fixie, a little Metamorphosis, we've got a little Bolter sitting there. But I've brought some little classics along. And I think, gentlemen, you guys have some at home as well.
Yes.
Let me just reach down.
He's had something prepared earlier.
Oh, geez.
So I got a little Sierra Nevada Torpedo.
Okay.
Little cheek. It's fucking awful. I hate you both.
That's so good. Oh, yeehaw, boy.
Little Sierra Nevada Dankful. Ooh. By the way, Sierra Nevada's... neither of you are professionals.
Oh, this is a raw episode.
By the way, Sierra Nevada's social media has gone super boomer lately. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, well, I did screenshot. I kind of want to put them on for Donkeys of the Week, but it's not been great, has it?
No. Little Deep Green from Fixie.
Yes, boys. I'm very fired up about that.
Okay. Now, friend of the show, Patreon, James, has sent us G-Force from Slippy. You boys had the G-Force from Slipstream?
Yeah. Brizzy.
Yep, that's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, I did have. I had my first beer from them at a bar in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. I think it was just their standard, the West Coast IPA. Absolutely delicious. So
very tasty
try one of their beers.
Yeah, the G-Force is an absolute ripper. One of the better dippers in Australia.
Geez, there's more.
And just to finish out with a little classique.
Oh yes.
Little full pint can of Stone IPA. So I don't know how fresh this is because that's always a bit of a
canned
gamble.
in June, I think, from looking at it earlier, but it doesn't matter. It's got the nostalgia.
Canned in August.
Oh,
so
2 months fresher.
So, that'll not be super fresh. But that's fine because we have the Kings of Fresh.
Love that DO
right
nostalgic taste that we all know and love.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. So, boys, well, when we think of an IPA in Australia, it's not hard to think of Fixation Brewing. But can you tell us a little bit more about your journey and, Tommy, for you, the days of Goat and now progressing on to Fixation?
Yeah. It was I guess a bit of good timing, and also, you know, that the Mountain Goat guys had sort of, you know, had started to, you know, move in that direction and offload the business to Australia. And I guess I was sort of like, okay, it's probably time to, mum and dad have sold the farm, time to get a real job and move out of home. And also, like, knowing the Stone and Wood guys that had started that business for years, when they started, I was already selling Mountain Goat, and on the streets of Melbourne, and, you know, all over the place, really. I even sold Mountain Goat in California, believe it or not, in bottle shops.
Oh, I remember that picture of you. It's like
we exported some rare breeds to California at one stage, a full container of double hightail and our IPA. Yeah, I think it was sort of, yeah, serendipity, but it was fantastic, and also respecting the Stone and Wood boys, but also knowing that they wanted to start something that let me be crazy and just throw ridiculous amounts of hops in the whirlpool, and also try and build a niche around something that's totally different. Sorry, it's getting a bit noisy in the background here, but
no, totally fine.
It's that time of the evening. But yeah, I think you know, it was just good timing, and also to play in a different part of the world to, you know, what they play in, mainly with Pacific Ale and Green Coast and things like that. So to be able to carve out a niche, and I guess we kind of hoped that there might be room for a dedicated IPA company, and I was going to, you know, lead it and you know, finally have some skin in the game as well, and you know, lo and behold, we had enough of a toehold in Melbourne to really build something and be respected for great fresh draft beer for our main Fixie IPA. And then I guess it just sort of gradually led from there. Like, we, you know, probably the second beer, which was, you know, a year in or so, was the Fix, the double. So really nice, clean, dry, dank West Coast. And then the first fruit IPA canned in Australia with Squish. And then, you know, gradually added some fun things along the way. And then, of course, you know, eventually a little brother in Obsession that, you know, you can have a six-pack of, because after 3 years of nothing but 6.5% IPAs, and shouting those for people all over the place, it was nice to have something where I can, you know, have a couple and, you know, not get too rosy. But yeah, it was, you know, it's definitely been a tough slog. It's been, you know, 13 years and 14 years now in good beer land, and it's you know, it's amazing how the landscape's changed. But you know, IPA it's still evolving and still growing strongly, and it's, you know, it's not anywhere near as big as it is in say America, for instance, but it's certainly becoming an awesome force in Australian craft beer, and there's just, yeah, it's just amazing how much different stuff's coming out, and people, you know, specialising in and making it their own. But yeah, then Sammy, obviously he was a big part of it in moving to Melbourne and helping to build the incubator and cutting the drains and working out where the brew house is going to go and how's it all going to work in this old 60s warehouse in Smith Street. And then you know, with the first brew, which was the 86 back in the day, and now 2.5 years later, with over, you know, 130 plus different beers in the mix, you know, it's been a hell of a ride. And we'll just keep carving out. We love, you know, independent beer and you know, good beer and growing the whole pie for everyone. So it's hopefully going to be a really good story for Australian, you know, manufacturing, and just keep doing what we do. We, you know, it's a niche thing. We understand. A lot of people are like, I don't even like IPAs. We're like, well, you're going to be fucked here, that's for sure.
It's funny because I remember when Fixation first started, and it was like in the Australian scene, it was like kind of crazy to think of an IPA dedicated brewery, but being connected to Stone and Wood and Fermentarium sort of made sense. But now it just seems super normal, like, to have someone so specialised.
I guess also at the start it was a little less daunting with just making one beer in Fixation IPA, and, you know, that's sort of been, we're still very core range focused, you know, focusing on the main things and making them the absolute best that they can be. But I've got to admit, even myself 3 years ago, coming down to open the incubator and being then, okay, new IPA every week, just constantly on it. I was like, I'm going to run out of ideas within, a couple of months. And then, that was sort of, it felt more burdensome but as the scene sort of expanded and changed a lot over even the last 2 or 3 years, it's definitely grown into a lovely position to be able to play around in a lot of different styles within, very hoppy IPA focused beers.
I remember thinking that early on that, like, being so dedicated to the IPAs could become a struggle, but then the explosion of the haze, different expressive yeasts being used.
It's still mind-boggling to me, boys, that you've pumped out so many different beers already in such a short amount of time. Like, I've been to Fixation on Smith Street 3 or 4 times, and there's always something new, like, for me to try there, and that's always what's really exciting to me, is like a new IPA every single time I go in there, which is,
I always get jealous from Sam's Instagram when he posts like something delicious that's obviously come out really well, and I'm like, oh, if that was on my street, I'd be in. Yeah.
But is it a bit challenging creatively for you, Sam, to be thinking of a new beer every couple of weeks or months or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, it can be sort of sometimes. Some sort of structure around the year helps a little bit in terms of Good Beer Week, the Indies Awards, the AIBA Awards, canning, tying in with a freshly hatched sort of thing. There's a little bit of structure that you can sort of look a bit further afield and go, cool, there's sort of a bit of a boundary to work towards.
Yeah.
At the start.
Well, Sammy, Hop Harvest.
Yeah, chicken Hop Harvest as well, and a few different events around there.
Hop Harvest beers suck though, don't they? Let's all be honest here. Like, there's a reason that all the world's hops get dried, because fresh hop beers generally are pretty shitty.
Hey, Clem, you notice I didn't say the wet hop beer. I said Hop Harvest, so we have an event.
Oh, a bit of fresh. Okay, a man of my heart.
And Clem, also remember, it's all about the romance as well. You've got to.
It is
the beer's half the story, and you drink with your expectation in your eyes and ears, and they're not my personal favourite style of beer, but they're special to a lot of people, and particularly in the regions that hops are grown and stuff. It's just so special to be around there at those times of year during the harvest.
Just sucks. It's a virtual harvest though this year, isn't it?
It is a virtual
harvest. That hurts.
Crap. But outside those events and things, at the start it was pretty tough, but now we've sort of worked into, within IPA, you've got the different sort of branches out, of which will normally consist of something West Coast, obviously something hazy, a red, a black, possibly something sour, hopped, always something experimental. We're not sure if it's going to work or not, but we've got to give it a go. And then, a double or a triple. So you kind of play around within these different, realms. Understanding we've got to try and make some money as a tap room as well to keep the doors open between, sort of playing around. And it gives you enough to chew on, and then, get into your yeast and other sort of different fermentation or technical elements that can drive a lot of different beer ideas. And and
we kind of settled into a bit of a style, haven't we, Sammy, where we've got a bit of a range of, bases covered, and we always say yes to any new experimental hop varieties or trials that are coming through, and also new hop products as well. So there's it's quite a lot to play with, and but it's definitely it's about having a bit of a roadmap as well, isn't it, Sammy?
Yeah
I remember when we spoke to Neto and JC a couple of times. They're releasing 50 odd beers a year, brand new can pretty much every time, and they were talking about that creative burnout, but having some structure around it. And I think IPA, even when Fixation started compared to like what it's become now in Australia, like, jumping on the American trends and then really taking them for our own has just like exploded. And it's still not the biggest selling category. Like in America, I think IPA is still the biggest selling category, and I assume here it's macro, lager and pale.
Smoothie sours haven't taken over yet in the US.
G'day, Nick.
Yuck.
But it's still, I think it's crazy to, even with like, I know that there's a lot of chonky dogs in the hazy game at the moment, but there is still so much to learn about hazy beers. And I think the 86, we talked about it when it first came out, like, a hazy sort of beer, but USO5 yeast, but still had that sort of really expressive smashability. Like, that was an awesome beer for me.
Yep.
Shout out to Faz if you're listening. USO5 hazy. Actually, he does listen. Hello, Faz. Yeah, that was one of my favourite, like, little smashy, like, oh, cool, this is like an Aussie interpretation of like a hazy pale or a hazy IPA. Very cool.
It was a good
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that was. I know that there was too much intent around that beer at the time, but I guess just making beers like Fixation and Obsession that always had that level of bitterness in them to sort of balance out, which is sort of a no-brainer. And also probably a bit of fortunate circumstance in that beer, just trying to throw more hops in a whirlpool, which will then create bitterness regardless what you're trying to do, and a bit of sort of back and forward. So it has shaved down marginally in the 86, but also between actual and perceived bitterness varies around a bit. But at the start it was sort of 45 IBUs. It's now sits between about 35 and 40.
Yep.
The hop blend has been the same throughout in Galaxy, Simcoe and Mosaic, but slight sort of tweaks in timing, fermentation, temperature, and a couple of other little malt and technical sort of bits and pieces. But 15 batches in, I think the last 5 have been exactly the same. And for me, at the moment, at least, until something better comes along, that's about as solid a beer as I can consistently make at the incubator. And one, we hope to always have on fresh as can be whenever anyone comes down.
Always a treat.
You don't want to put lactose in it? Please don't.
Let's save lactose for another time.
Let's not. Let's just never use it. It's great.
You used to love lactose in it.
It's just funny that in the last couple of years we've gone through that kind of circle of like, it sort of started off a little bit leaner and has still a little bit of bitterness in it, very much like the 86, and then we went through the
Chonky boy phase.
The chonky boy phase, and it's slowly coming back around to the back to where we started, where there's a bit leaner. And
now you only drink imported lagers from Dan Murphy's.
No, I don't.
And you'll get back to sours again soon.
No, but it's just funny to see it sort of come back and go, oh yeah, a bit more of a smashy hazy beer is back on the menu in these current times. It's quite interesting.
Hey, on the incubator, we have a lot of brewers who listen, so we always like to get a little gear story. I've gone in and seen your kit, which is a delicious little thing of beauty. Do you want to give us some key stats and words about the incubator kit?
Yeah, sure. For all the tech nerds out there, wherever it sort of goes. Pretty simple little kit, sort of designed to try and be as versatile and specifically sort of made for hop-focused beers as possible. It's a little 3-vessel DME kit, which has it's essentially almost a mash kettle as vessel number 1. Vessel number 2 is a separate lauter tun, and vessel 3 is a combined kettle whirlpool. Set up in that way, and it's slightly oversized to the tanks. It's a 6-barrel brewery, about 740 litres or so, and 5-barrel tanks, which is about 600 litres, to allow really heavy hop usage in the brewery side, and also set, because it's just myself in there, to be able to, where push comes to shove, lauter back into the mash tun originally in there as well, to do double brews in a day. Also helps with kettle souring and that sort of thing. It's all steam jacketed hot side on the brews. It's the world's tiniest little 100 kilowatt boiler on site as well. And then we run 4 600 litre fermenters, which are combined, they're conical fermenters, and then 4 serving tanks as well, which are just a sort of dish bottomed DME BBT sort of solution that put an extra jacket in the cone of the vessel to keep it chilled the whole way. So we've actually got them connected through just on Snaplocks to our draft beer system. So
I didn't realise you had those. That's fucking awesome.
So that just functions directly as a large keg, sort of standing to our commitment to fresh is best. So I generally turn around beers in a sort of 18 to 19 day turnaround with a few days maturation in the bright tanks, not pushing anything particularly fast. And that lets us have 3 weeks on serving tank. If it lasts through 3 weeks until the next beer's coming along, we'll keg out whatever's left. But very few beers leave the incubator, and no other processing or anything. Everything, the transferred 2 beers today is just under gas pressure, slowly transferred from the fermenters through to their serving tanks. So very minimal intervention IPAs where, haze and clarity and all that sort of stuff I try and design at the grain sort of stage and leave everything else pretty much as it is.
Do you guys have managed to fit an incredible little setup in such a tiny space? Like it's I imagine.
I thought that, and then I went to Ben Spoke in Canberra and thought, I've got all the room in the world. This is bloody luxury. But no, I think we've done all right.
When you guys, we've got the deep green can here that we might crack into in a little moment. Oh, yes. When you guys are doing a run of these 500s, is that's not at the incubator, is it? That's somewhere else?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow.
And So this is very small. So this is actually driven by Tommy. I think the day after the Vic announcement of closing down, sort of going, well, we need to look at another way to get beer out. East Coast Canning had been doing canning of squish from us for a few years, since day one. So I had a pretty good relationship with them. So hit them up pretty quickly and sort of had a couple of technical conversations around what we might need to do to can out of the incubator site. And turns out it's very inefficient, but a lot of fun, very small scale canning that we do there, sort of chaining the 4 tanks together.
Oh, like a daisy chain sort of setup.
Yeah, daisy chain together and basically running 389 litres out of each tank, which is enough to fill 2 layers of cans, which is basically a minimum order on each type of can. Getting unique art from each can as well, and just punching out very tiny little runs for punters that were picking up beers at the pubs. Also, our best buds, and shipping them around the country where we can. So we haven't canned since I think it would have been late November, so probably getting on a little bit on the deep green sort of can. So we've been having a taste. I think they're still holding up pretty well. Cold the whole time, about 2 degrees after canning, and hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's the last of that, but what we found was there was no way to get the incubator limited into people's hands. There was no way to sell the beer that we would normally only sell in the venue, other than we ran out of share bottles or growler bottles pretty quickly, and so that was one way. And we'd do 4 different beers with, as Sammy said, those tiny volumes. Keep a couple of kegs for growler fills, and to Sammy's credit, I probably stressed him out a bit by saying, I think we've got a can inside the incubator, but just move all the tables and chairs out of the way. We won't be needing those for a while, and let's try and make it.
Yeah. The exception was our first run where we've got about 16 heck of generally beer in tank to can, but then we just put Little Ray, which is now post-COVID coming into our core range again, into some kegs around the country. We actually had about 70 or 80 kegs around the country that had just gone out to venues as COVID hit. We managed to get them back, cold plated them to Victoria. I convinced my wife's dad, who's got his truck license, to go and pick them up in a refrigerated truck the night before, keep them cold, parked it out the front, ran them in keg by keg onto the canning line, and actually did about 70 heck worth of canning out of our brewery on the first sort of time in shutdown in COVID, which gave us a few pallets of Little Ray cans to get people through. Amazing. So it's sort of one of those things. You got to do what you got to do, and it's some fun times.
Now, is Little Ray the beer that just won the Getting Blind of Crafty Hazy?
Yeah, that was some fun news on Friday. Didn't expect that, but it was a great result.
We're absolutely stoked with that, because it was 30 different hazies in that hazy pale world, and Sammy's little baby, and it's always been popular at the incubator. We've done it a few times, so pretty stoked because it's only a couple of weeks away from launching as a core range sort of beer.
Yeah, nice. I was pretty bummed because when I saw the final lineup, James had hit me up for some cans of my SO5 hazy in bunny ears, because it's not hazy at all.
Not at all. Cali Clear,
Cali Haze. And I said no because it's an Aussie Pale Ale. And then lo and behold, Stone and Wood was like top 4, and I was like, damn it. Not to compare myself to Stone and Wood at all, because that beer bangs and is deservedly one of the kings. But I declined the offer to be in the hazy pales because I thought Ali would take the piss out of me too much.
I'm glad you did that.
Okay.
You should definitely always send them into those, because there's some good pallets in that group, and I think you would have stacked up well if you're talking that Aussie pale summer ale hazy space.
I just figured they were doing NEPA pales, but it's fine. I came fourth in the American Pale Ale, so she's right. God. She's right, boys. She's right.
No one cares, man. No one cares. Oh dear. But sort of getting off the beaten track here, boys. No. How did you boys actually fall in love with IPAs? If you have a moment in time where you recall going, "Wow, what was the beer?" Any memories of that?
Should I go first, Sammy? Because
go on, Tommy.
You got your rock star story as well. Mine's not quite that cool, but I guess I started drinking craft beer probably before a lot of the newer drinkers were out of nappies yet. But
new money.
But I grew up in Adelaide on Coopers, but I moved to Melbourne and then discovered Creatures, Mount Goat, Hightail, and then Jamison's Beach was the first sort of big double IPA we had at the Royston, which was about 7.5%, and pretty malt driven. But that was pretty game changing, and the Hargraves Hill ESB. But then I went to California with Miro Bellini, who's the Brooklyn brand.
We know Miro.
Miro, and anyway, I rocked up in LA, went to the Library Ale House on the advice of the Tap House boys, and I tried Green Flash IPA, West Coast IPA, and I just pretty much just said, right, I can't go anywhere for the next few hours, and that was just one of those game changing beers. So for me, sorry, I've got a puppy in the background.
Just hearing the story, getting the puppy fired up as well.
Yeah,
Green Flash and probably Sculpin as well.
Yeah,
10, 11 years ago in California, they were they were changing my world.
How was the Green Flash went under, didn't they?
Yeah, they really expanded really hard. Sorry, I'm just going to get Daisy Delmont and Wrangler in a bit.
Daisy Delmont, come on the show. Well, she's been on.
But they did. They expanded really hard, went big, and it's so risky to build a massive new brewery, and they did that on I think in Virginia Beach, somewhere on the East Coast, and just about wrong timing, and really aggressive in their growth ambitions, but
that beer was so good.
No, it was a game changer, and their head brewer at the time, Chuck Silver, started his own brewery, Silver Brewing, right opposite the really big Firestone Walker Brewery in Northern California, heading north of just south of San Fran, and visited Chuck Silver and got to have a chat about the original Green Flash West Coast, and of course he's brewing out the back of this awesome pub, and he's making similar awesome beers in his own setup now. So the good news is that it sort of continued on, but he for me is a bit of a hero.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fuck, that beer's good. Yeah. Wish you could have it.
Yeah. Wouldn't know, unfortunately.
It's so fucking good.
Sucks. What about you, Sammy? What was your little story, little moment?
Well, it's kind of, I grew up, parents, or mum and dad just loved, BB Carlton drafts, so pretty sort of straight in the centre. Used to play music, just obviously Melbourne bitters and stuff around the town, but had a bit of luck in music in my younger days, and actually ended up in Los Angeles in 2007 for a little while, and in a former strange parallel life to anything that resembles what I do now, actually did music full time for about 5 years.
Wow.
And ended up recorded a couple of albums in Los Angeles and toured around the States and stuff I'd say playing indie rock and roll just as it was becoming wildly unpopular. So we had a bit of support and stuff over the years, but some friends of ours had a little English style restaurant in LA, and it was one of the first times I was in America going all the beers, obviously pretty similar standard to here, watery sort of stuff, and they go, I try this one. And it was, a little beer by the name of Pliny the Elder I had on there. And, of course, I didn't think that much of it at the time. It's not like it was an eye-opening sort of thing, but over going back a few years, and then other bars around there, you could drink a lot of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and Celebration Ale and Stone beers, that sort of thing. Just gave me a real appreciation for that style. But after 5 years or so going there, they got a case each month because they were early subscribers to it. That's the maximum allowance they could get. They didn't have the menu anymore, but I've still got the glasses, which I still drink out of this today, the little half English pint glasses that you used to sip on and have a little bottle of Pliny every time over there. So that, I guess, stoked the fire, and then, fast forward 5 years or so until I got the sort of brewing side, always had that sort of, love of local beer and local fresh American beer, which was just coincidentally a sort of parallel to what we were trying to do, but in an Australian sense over here.
Wow.
That's so good.
That just sounds awful. Just
when Tommy said a rock star story,
we weren't expecting
an actual rock star.
Yeah.
There's a photo. There's a photo of his band when they supported the Foo Fighters, like with Dave Grohl.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're going to put that on the video.
It is an actual rock star story.
Tommy talks up as being a rock star. I say by a million times the biggest show we played. The next show we came back to Australia and played to a room of 0. Didn't even pull a crowd. Just down person left the room. So it's the great highs and lows of rock and roll, isn't it? Beer and craft beer and stuff. You know, take it while you can get it. Just enjoy.
Sammy, all I did was play to rooms of 0 on the bass guitar, so don't worry about that.
Tommy, you and I are very similar because I used to do that at the old Brisbane Hotel on the bass guitar and didn't say many rocked up. So
I love the Brisbane.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good times at the Brisbane.
Very good times. Very raw times as well.
Fucking raw times.
Very much.
Gents, on Fixation, obsessed with IPAs, obsessed with the passion of hops. What makes a great IPA for you guys? I mean, obviously you have to push the envelope and you have to experiment at the incubator. But for you, if you could just make one IPA, like what makes a great IPA?
Sam, why don't you all say one thing? I think 7%.
No, just honestly, one answer, one that's pint worthy.
Pint-worthy.
I feel it's a style of beer 7%. And an expression of hops and joy that should be able to be consumed in a way that, you know, makes you happy and want to have another one and share it with your friends. Yep. I enjoy stupid big IPAs and beers of all sort of things at different times, but for me, great IPAs are ones that just need to, you know, be able to go back gulps. And have another time.
Big gulps, dankness. Oh, I'm getting tingles.
I love it when you know the sweetness and the bitterness come together with a big, you know, explosion of beautiful hops. It's pretty special. But yeah, you're right, Sam. It's about getting to that last part of the point and going, geez, I'd love another one of those.
Yeah.
You just got like rings around your glass of lacing and there's like gulp rings. Ooh.
Yeah, that's where I fell in love with, you know, the craft beer world, but then for a little while there it became a bit of a checklist. So you go to a Carwyn Cellars and you try and tick off all the beers on the that you wanted, and I've sort of come back full circle and going, yeah, I want just pints of West Coast, please. Yeah,
what do we think off the question list? But what do we think of the fact that all these brewers now are saying they're bringing West Coast back and they're bringing bitterness back when, you know, we even took the piss out of it a little bit, like on our collab with Deeds. Like it didn't leave. There's shitloads of West Coast out there. Everyone just stopped posting about them on Instagram because you couldn't Iceman pour them into a fucking vase. Am I right?
Yeah, well, true.
Boys, do you feel like West Coast has ever left? Like, you know, obviously this deep green is looking a little bit milky, but man, it's got that candy. It's got that little bit of bitterness to back it up. It's 7%, so you're on brand.
Yeah, it never left the incubator, but I guess it's certainly just become a broader style, I think. But I think the Make IPA Great Again hats and t-shirts are not far off. But I think it's a style that even with a really nice hazy that's, you know, low bitterness and, you know, even something with, you know, lactose or whatever else, I think there's still something incredibly satisfying about a beautifully, you know, big beer that's balanced at that level of, you know, dry hop and alcohol and all of that intensity comes together in a beautifully balanced beer. I think it's just going to be really hard to find something more satisfying than a beautiful, you know, classic West Coast, and that's where I think, you know, even some of the more modern trends, they'll be around for a long time, some of them, and some will come and go. But I think that's my take on it. Sam, you might have another view.
I think hazies are here to stay. It's something we do a lot of focus on, and they're really good they're good beers. I spend a lot of time brewing and drinking and talking about them. But also from my perspective as a brewer, there's something in the cleanliness of a really clean, you know, visually clean beer without any yeast or haze. It's got proper conditioning time that just sets it apart. For me, West Coast, the leaning into malt complexity which it allows is something that hazies don't very much. In deep green, and that I push it a little bit. I think it's about 3% Cara Red, but I find in any of those hazy beers, once you start trying to push a bit of malt into it and special malt for sweetness, it can sort of interferes with the hops in a different way. Whereas in West Coast, I feel you can really lean into it to give something that's an interesting, complex drink, but refreshing, dry, and can hold hops if you choose the right hops. I've never used Subro in a West Coast personally, but you know, it's a hop that I like. I know it's really busy, but you know, when you can sort of lean into that sort of style and just have fun with it, and be it between 6, 7, 8%, you can do so much in that sort of clean, clarified, biofine, centrifuge, DE filtered, just clean drinking.
Sulfates over chloride.
And bitterness is key as well. I think even as you're saying, sort of making stuff bitter, sometimes my calculated bitterness will often, the measured will sort of fall short. And I find it's one of those things, like, it actually takes a lot of boldness to keep pushing for higher bitterness in West Coast beers, but I think it's something that can make them so special, particularly Fixation that sits 60, 64 IBUs at 6.4%. You've got to actually sort of, you can taste your work, get your feedback and go, oh, it might be too much, but it actually kind of, it pays off to really push it in that sort of way.
Definitely.
Shall we? I think that we should probably get into a bit of a home brewer.
Oh, we want to talk about the recipe?
I think so.
So we've introduced a new little part to the episodes when we have a guest on, because we realise we've got such great guests on, and so many of our listeners are home brewers. So we've actually asked the crew, and I have it here now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see a little recipe sheet. Now, we've asked the Fixie boys to give us a bit of a fixation recipe. So not one from production, just to show us a recipe that defines your brand. So if one drop we're doing this, we might put some silly food colouring in it. No, that's mean. Sorry, Nick. So right now we have from the boys a West by West Fixation Brewing Co. West Coast style IPA.
Yes, a lot of very intense thought into this beer today.
Absolutely.
You're
gonna win so many homebrew comps if you clone this at home, everyone. So looking at this is actually the first time I've seen the recipe, because I was a little bit busy today. But going over it, we'll put it up on our site. We'll put it up on the socials through the links. But just going through it. So let's start, Sam, with the Malt Bill. So for people watching on YouTube or listening at home, straight up percentages: 77% ale, 15% Mana, 4% Cara Red, 4% Breeze, Cara Munich. So talk us through what's going on in this Fixie Malt Bill.
So very similar to a Fixation IPA Malt Bill, not completely the same, but for me in that West Coast, I find a bit of Vienna with any base ale. The base ale itself wouldn't matter too much, and I don't know whether we talk about it too much, but Fixation was originally completely Breeze based. So we had the Breeze 2-row Brewers malt coming in, which is just cost you a fortune, and ended up changing that to Barrett Burst and ale malt over time, without for ourselves any sort of detriment, and actually find the sort of fresher local malt better for a base malt. But in this sort of style of beer, if you can and splash out definitely like an American style caramel Munich in a West Coast IPA, I just find stands out regardless. You can just taste it and chew into the malt and actually absolutely pick it apart from anything else. So this is sort of pushing up that sort of malt sweetness as much as I like to do in that sort of 6.8 to 7.1 sort of percent. Vienna to round out a bit of mouthfeel, and then your ale, take your choice. If it's Pils and malt, I wouldn't stress too much and just boil it a little longer. But ale gives you less problems at a homebrew scale, obviously, with less evaporation in the boil, that sort of thing.
Very nice, very nice. We're mashing at 67.5, so a little bit of full body, 7.1%.
Yeah, I think with that sort of mash, you'd never. All malt is sort of so, I'd say, hot these days, particularly for its fermentability. That sort of 67, 68 I've found with almost any malt. I don't know if it's different at the homebrew scale, but that will generally, with that sort of ale malt, attenuate about 80%. A little bit higher if you're dry hopping early, that sort of thing, but that's just a pretty sort of classic in between. temp. So yeah, if you're doing 66, 67, 68, you should hit pretty good numbers.
Delicious. Now, Ali, you'll come in here. You've done a little bit of brewing, mate.
Done a little bit, nothing to write home about. But
So what are you thinking about this for a little hot bill? Because this is your place to play.
Hot bill is Amarillo, Simcoe, and Mosaic. Some very classics.
Sam, as 10 Barrel called it, and got sued.
But you've got Amarillo as your bittering hop in the boil. Any reason why you've chosen Amarillo as your bittering hop?
Not particularly. I like Amarillo because I feel it just works so evenly regardless where you use it in the process. It can be a little bit more of a pain because it's lower alpha, so if you end up having too much of a hop loading in your sort of homebrew systems, it can be a bit of a pain. But
yeah,
I feel some elements, it's quite a neutral flavour that's, a bit resin but grassy and just adds greenness. I'll do Amarillo for days in any beer, basically. Also, it can be a little bit cheaper if you're buying it in bigger quantities because it's a bit more old school, but fuck that. Depending on how you use it, it is the best hop going around. So I'll throw that in anywhere, and certainly anyone in Fixation world. I know Tommy's a mad Simcoe fan, and I'm a lot of the way. But Amarillo for me just works out in a lot of ways. So it's just sort of staying true to it. And I prefer generally to keep hops uniform throughout, rather than using an ISO hop or a cheaper hop with higher alpha, that sort of thing, just to sort of be true to that sort of style.
I like it.
I like the nice, clean, like 60-45, for some IBUs, and people will see this on the recipe sheet, and then just bang straight to whirlpool.
Yeah, it's very clean, very simple. And then, the combo of Simcoe and Mosaic.
One thing I would keep in mind, so that's also that IBU is calculated as a beer IBU versus a wort IBU. So generally we find you lose at least 30% of your calculated IBUs through fermentation. So just as a slight technical side note.
Chuck that in your beer smith, people.
Yeah, be going up towards like 78 IBUs if you're just calculating off a wort IBU.
Very good.
Just to try and hit that bitterness.
Very nice. In terms of dry hops, Ali, are you happy with 9 grams a litre? Is that something you fuck with still, or are you still in your 40 gram a litre train that everything has to be 40 grams?
No, nothing. Not with West Coast. You don't have to have 40 grams a litre of a dry hop. That is absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember what we ended up collab was, maybe 17.
A very silly amount, but it was a Deeds collab.
You're wrong, basically, Al. Don't use that many hops. You're wasting money.
OJ from HBA would be so happy with you right now, despite the fact that he sells hops. He hates brewers wasting them.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Purely from shots, that's actually pushing it a bit. Fixation generally sits in total about 6 grams a litre. I will push beers at the 86, for example, is 11 grams a litre. It's nothing super crazy. And for myself, I'll tend to limit any hop to about 14 to 15. For myself, as a total dry hop addition, I find above 15 for me, it just gets too grassy and vegetal for what I'm looking to do.
Sure.
I've never done a beer at the incubator more than 20 grams a litre. And, I feel we're getting pretty extreme sort of hop output from it. So it's all about timing and when you're using it, what sort of point. But I think at that 9 grams a litre and sort of 7%, you should get good bang for your buck.
That'll be great.
And I reckon OJ would be the first one to say don't waste great hops.
He always says
going to 30 grams a litre and stuff like that when you don't need to. But I found we've like Sammy, we've been getting some incredibly great results. Those kind of hopping rates and no one's ever said, it needs more hops.
Needs more hops, yeah.
I'm sure it's been brought up. I'm sure it's been brought up with professional brewers again, like splitting between hops and slight fractional variations and this and that. Often it's just not a practical reality of doing things on a larger scale. So very often it will be even ratios or whole bags or that sort of thing.
Whole bags, baby.
So I've kept it. It's better for the freshness of the hops, and that's it.
Very good, very good. And Ali, do you like that last little line there? The last little water chems, a bit of sulfates over chlorides. That's your vibe.
Definitely sulfates over chloride. Picking up a lot of shitty chloride water at the moment in some hazy beers, and I'm not about it at all.
Little Pebble Boys?
Yeah, the Pebble Boys are not tasting too nice in my mouth, but that's fine. So that looks great to me. USO5 as the yeast choice. Perfect. No complaints. Looks like a good recipe.
That temperature as well, I think, is pretty important. I know it's a little harder on the homebrew scale, but so fixies normally finish about 22, 23 with repitched, super healthy liquid yeast. But I find with dry yeast, fermenting that bit warmer, it comes out, especially above about 7% in sort of higher alcohol notes. So particularly myself at the incubator, anything above 7, 8, sort of dropping down the fermentation temperature a little bit. I know it's still not super cool, but enough to be sort of through properly and without sort of off flavouring it too much.
None of that alcohol.
With me as well, I didn't put stats in it. I'd probably biofine that beer as a sort of vegan silicon dioxide clarifying agent just to get some clarity out of it. If you can mature it or lager it for a couple of weeks, be a bloody banger.
That might have been my problem back in the day. I think I've always fermented a little bit too hot, and I've got that yeasty vibe to it.
Either that or you're frozen.
Haven't done a homebrew in a while. Maybe
fermentation chamber.
To be fair, my first homebrew, which I only did 2 homebrews before I became professional, which is ridiculous to my ears. But I did an IPA off a pre-hopped work kit from Grape and Grain, whichever I always confused. But I remember I had the airlock set incorrectly, so it didn't even look like it was fermenting, but it was obviously with the hydrometer and whatnot. But just absolutely thinking and being sold the idea of needing a warming plate or a warming jacket, which is just the worst thing ever. So probably fermented about 30 degrees. And any tips to homebrewers, you never need a warming jacket ever. Fermenters, you just always need to try and cool it a bit. Never warm it up.
Except in Tassie in winter.
Okay, no, fair play.
But most of our listeners...
Just go light, very light touch on any warming, because the yeast will do that for you.
Very good. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, that is great.
I like that new segment.
If anyone brews this, let us know.
You should brew it, Ali.
I should brew it.
I'd love to see that.
Bit of video content.
Yeah, if anyone does and wants to, can get some over. Or
shout out to our Melbourne homies.
2 weeks. I'm down in Tassie in a couple of weekends' time. So, if anyone's doing a super quick bike ferment on this.
Well, most of...
Yummy.
Actually, our biggest listener base is shout out to Melbourne. Melbourne and Brisbane are our biggest listener base. So, Melbourne homies, maybe drop a little growler of your homebrew to Sammy and just see what he thinks. And, brewers love being
hit us up on Facebook or not if anyone wants to brew or have a chat. I'm always free and open. So,
hell yeah. Well, let's get to this brand new segment.
Oh.
Let's do it.
It's West Coast time! Yee-hoo! Yeah, boy!
That didn't... Oh, thank you, WEG.
It's just awful. You two, I'm glad you didn't wear your costumes that you sent me your photos of. I thought you were going to rock up in cowboy costumes, but I'm still disappointed.
I sort of dressed as a modern farmer from the outback. It's not really on theme, but close enough. It's all I had in my wardrobe.
To Tom from our Patreon, who is an actual farmer, I apologise profusely.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the next show, boys, we did send you guys shopping for some West Coast. Do you want to quickly show us what you've bought and have a bit of a chat why you bought them?
Absolutely.
Please.
I went shopping for the both of us, so I'll do one beer and Sammy can do one. So we obviously had a Fixie IPA to kick things off.
Love it. Classic.
And then I rolled into one of our favourites and our mates and they come to Resin Fest in March. Mr. Banks West Coast IPA.
Classic.
Tasty beverage.
And it was tasting great. It's soft, it's luscious, and it's tropical in all the right ways. 6.2%, and just went down a little bit too easy. And Sammy's going to review the bigger can of the two.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's great for a Tuesday night, going for an 8.5%. Hargraves Hill Double West Coast with Kenneth, son of Zenith.
Oh, yes, I've seen that can floating around.
Yeah, I was actually, I love Scotty and the Hargraves crew a lot. This is a delightful beer, pretty sweet, low bitterness, but super fresh and dangerously smashable. Extra side trivia note: Adrian, one of their reps, I first had my first ever job with selling mobile phones with when we were both 18 years old.
Wow.
So
Nice.
always we'll try Hargroves Hill beer. Great crew and low bitterness smashable Imperial West Coast.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Most people
Nice and good.
most people don't remember Hargraves. You know, their original brewery burnt down in the fires about, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years ago in the Yarra Valley, and rebuilt in Lilydale. But they've been making great beers for a long time, and awesome.
They've adapted a lot. Yeah, changed it up. They do that Pursuit of Hoppiness.
That's the one.
The Fruits series. Yeah, ESB, Phoenix.
Yeah.
So Phoenix
The
down.
Phoenix range going. A few things.
Yeah.
Good on.
Good shit.
Actually, the Phoenix is a tribute, to the original brewery and rising from the ashes. Yeah.
How good. Well, delightful.
All right, what's the new segment, Clint?
Well, I mean, this hasn't got old at all. And one of our Patreon, actually, we asked our Patreon and our homies of the show, which you boys have been added to now, we asked them if anyone had some fun stories about you guys, and there was a few stories. But I did like one of the Tassie brewers who said, Tom introduced himself at the Winston as, I'm the guy from whose line it is. Is it anyway? I'm Drew Carey. And I like that you just led with that, like, straight into it, because it's a very overused joke. So sticking with the overused joke and the low-hanging fruit, because, I'm a dad now. I've got to use those shitty jokes where I can. We've decided to do a brand new segment. Whose brew is it anyway? Whose line is it anyway?
Okay.
Whose brew is it anyway?
I get it. I've never seen the show, so.
Well, you're a very young man, Ali. So what's going to happen here is WEG is going to hand the Pilly Panfa and myself, Pappy, a card each, and on that card will be the name of an Australian brewery. We are going to come up with a fake beer, along with what the Instagram post text would be. You can talk about the label if you want, so you're going to be making this up. And we want these brewers to guess which brewery it is.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Whose brew is it anyway?
Okay.
So pass me over. I've got
Good segment. I
I've
like
got,
it.
I've got WEG
Yeah.
to pick these. So
Shit. Oh, okay.
we've got a little bit of paper here for those on YouTube. Hello, everyone on YouTube, by the way. Thank you for the growth over the last couple of weeks. Oh, fuck, man. It's getting old now, isn't it?
No, I like it. It hasn't.
So now we
shit,
don't know which brewers we've had until just now. Do you want me to go first? Because you look a bit stressed.
I don't like this brewery, so it's going to be really difficult.
All right, so you've got a Kasha. That's great. That was easy to guess. No, so all right, boys, I'm going to go first. So sticking with the West Coast theme, it's going to be a West Coast IPA. The name of my West Coast IPA is going to be Bitterness to the Moon. Bitterness to the Moon is a ridiculously hopped, resinous beast of a beer that can only be accompanied by the highest IBUs ever produced in an Australian beer, with our certified trademark TM bitterness additions. We've created a balanced West Coast at 420 perceived IBUs. That's correct. With our trademark bitterness addition, we have produced the most bitter beer ever. Enjoy. Who is the brewer? And the post is the can art is a very sexy semi-metallic can with a tattoo artist design on it.
Oh, that's. Did it come in a Magnum? Oh.
Gentlemen, can you tell me who?
Okay. Sam, do you want to have a guess first?
I feel from the outlet and the description, there's got to be a touch of ego, a touch of confidence in there. I'm trying to narrow it for myself down between Dainton and what's the name of mine? One other. What's it mine? It's gone. Okay, I'm going to have to just go with a patented issue. So I'm going to go with Dan Dainton and Dainton Brewing.
And can I have a guess too?
You may.
I'm going to go with, some guys that I like to think of the ridiculous ex-gaming industry nerds of the country, Little Bang.
Ooh, okay. Unfortunately, you're both incorrect.
Oh.
I was riffing on the trademark TM One Drop Brewing Co. Kings of the hype in Australia right now. But
the other one I thought maybe Young Henry's. They'd talk up the big game.
oh, jeez, I can't rip on Young Henry's anymore after my Gabs video. I'll get in trouble this time. But if anyone does have the homebrew clone recipe for Newtowner, hit me up. Ali, are you ready? Are you ready, mate?
I can go either two ways about mine. I can go the very
you do how you like. This is who
easy,
brews it anyway.
Easy guess route, so they get it, or I can just rip on the brewery.
It's hard enough.
Yeah.
Rip on the brewery.
This one's called Toilet Water. It is a West Coast IPA.
Jesus, mate.
And it is...
You're really putting them in a bind here. Like if they say a brewery's name, it will imply that they think it's toilet water.
Yeah.
Anyway, you continue, mate.
Hey, this is my thing.
You are fucking up.
Hey, whoa. Toilet water. Hey, the label is really beautiful. It's got a lovely sewagey, beautifully drawn, graphic toilet water flowing out of the toilet, with a big symbol right in the middle, so you know what brewery it is. Averagely hopped, nothing, just another limited release, nothing exciting. What else can I go? But it's part of the...
Any adjuncts in this IPA?
Any adjuncts? No, I've gone for a West Coast theme here. It's not very good. So that's why it's called Toilet Water. To give a little bit of a hint, it's part of the D series so their annual release this year. So I'll leave you with that. That is my brew.
You've really struggled there.
I didn't know it was going to be thrown on me. So there you go. Yeah. Toilet Water, beautiful. Could have Dan Andrews on the cover as well.
Ooh, that's a little.
Jeez. Even I would guess that.
Oh gosh.
Oh, they're not getting it.
Either way, we're going to offend people here.
They're not up with their beer politics.
I've seen the piece of paper, and I know he doesn't listen because I've bagged him out far too much on here.
Yes.
I'll go to Sam's guest previously, Dan Dainton.
Oh!
Hey, whoa! I don't know the answer yet.
Fucking
is it?
I don't know yet. What's
Sounded like it.
Sammy Bethune, what do you think?
I don't know. I wanted to go Pirate Life for nice artistry and graphics and stuff, but I don't know whether they're playing in our independent field. Can you give it independent, not independent?
Definitely
we're playing craft beers, but
definitely
indie. The other one I had was part of another series, West Coast, had a bit of fun, brew other side with a big balloon and toilet water.
Oh, we love Other Side.
I do love Other Side.
Reese is coming on the show.
I'd never talk shit about literally.
No, I love their brewery too, just having some fun with it.
Now you've upset a mate to the other side.
That's all right. We've got Reese on in about a month, so I'll just hit him up with Fixation Hate Him. That's great. That's a good scoop.
As long as you poke fun at us with this later.
No, it is Dayton.
Yes.
I do apologise to Dayton. Don't have enough of their beers, but hey, the
red was great.
The 4D red was great, and I thought, no, I'll chuck it in the D series. It could be a good time.
Hey, bro, keep politics and beer separate. Thank you.
Wow. How about the politics combination? But I did go to the brewery a couple of months ago, and the beers were tasting awesome, and that cherrywood smoked porter.
I have heard of that. Yeah,
that's a big one.
Wow.
Yeah. And the painting of Dan in the brewery is awesome too.
Oh, do they have a big painting of it? I wasn't super into the Dan Andrews apocalypse labels things. I thought, you know what, Victorians have had enough, and enough Victorians died during the pandemic that we probably don't want to put it on a beer label.
I missed that.
Yeah, I missed it as well.
No good. Oh well.
There you
New
go.
segment. Terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Well, I probably won't do it again. But
what happens when?
You reckon it's got legs?
I reckon it's got legs. I think it's just it's hard to think of so many breweries, but the way you describe it's good. I like it.
I think it's
I think we need to pre-plan this and have like maybe an image.
I think you just need to leave the new segments to Ali and myself.
I come up with all the greatest segments.
Like what?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Now the boys.
You could even just review some of the worst social media that's ever been done by
yeah, we Certified
do.
Beer Donkeys has.
We haven't. Yeah, we just gone live. Maybe just tell Tom.
There's definitely been some social media posts run by potatoes in the past, so that would be worth.
No, they're called donkeys, Tommy, and there is now a certified Beer Donkeys page on Facebook that you can forward them onto. So
yeah, if you guys get hit up with any hatred in your comments, literally just tag at Certified Beer Donkeys, and we will put it on the show.
I don't know who runs Certified Beer Donkeys, but
it's a mystery.
They're doing a great job.
And I also highly recommend there's an industry thing. So for people in the industry, but for the untapped reviewers that like to go, one of the best beers I've ever had, 3 stars.
This is the right show for you, Tommy. We do have untapped responses every now and then, and that's where it gets quite raw.
Okay, you already got that.
Oh, absolutely. But this is another of our favourites. That you guys actually brought up in the break, and we weren't going to touch on it. But
yeah, you shouldn't bring that up in the break if you don't.
We're gonna hit that jingle of "Give us your Gabs pitch." Hit it, Weggy.
Where did I hang on?
Oh no!
And I'm leaving this in the edit because this is classic. Give us your Gabs pitch. I want it now. Bitch. Please and thank you. What do you think of the jingle there, boys? Do you like that one? Bit sexy? Bit naughty?
Jesus, no, they hated it, clearly.
They did hate it. Oh, wow. Give us your Gabs pitch.
They already know how it works because
they've talked about it. So we're actually going to make you boys compete against each other. Gabs is approaching hypothetically. You guys are going to go head to head in this year's Gabs for your award-winning beer. Now, it's not a beer that you guys have to brew per se, but it's a beer that you think that you would brew that you think would win Gabs for the best new beer. So, who am I going to pick first to pitch? I'm going to go with Sammy first, actually. So get creative.
Take the boss.
Put your cowboy hat on and off you go.
All right, so this is very, very off the cuff. I'm thinking. I have no idea where this is going. This is a lucid brew experiment, as it is. Beer-wise, I don't know. Gabs, it's got to be silly. It's going to have some stupid ABV percent. It's going to be high because you're going to want to pay your 3 tokens for 30 mils just to take the piss and make sure people are, drinking something. So you're going to be in that not ridiculously high, in that 10 to 12 percent range.
Yeah.
Just off the cuff, something that it's got to have a little bit of danger in it, a little bit of something that's a bit different. And purely because I watched a show on ABC on a food show last night about the dangers and joys of eating a freshly shucked shellfish. Ooh. It's going to be a 12% oyster stout with freshly shucked crustaceans into each cup. I might go to 4 tokens per thing. So it's going to have the little group of shells into the oyster stout. Not oysters themselves, but a complimentary shellfish.
A couple of pippies.
Improve your oyster stout.
Surprise,
Over to you,
motherfucker.
Mr. Delmont.
Oh, that's
wow. That's a gauntlet thrown.
Sorry, Joey.
That's thrown.
Sam, you've done a good job there. I guess I can't help but think of our mates that have gone before us and used various body parts to So this incredible liquid was initially discovered in the block drains of the incubator. This grotesquely infected ale is strained through human pubic hair, and is affectionately known as the butt yeast ale. But it's got a funky sourness, but for some reason you keep going back for more, and has a delicate funkiness underneath it all. But it's kind of a brown, funky brown. But, it's,
Bit of salt in there, is there?
A little bit of salt, a little bit of corn, but it's
Jeez.
And
what's the ABV?
and sits at around 2%.
Table
Watery,
beer.
very
Little
watery.
Table beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
to come
So
down.
that one Gab's 2030.
Yeah, that's
I can just imagine all the nerds lining up now. I was like, you can really taste the wet blanket. No, it's just Toppy's ass.
sessionable though. So on that fact alone, and the fact that I don't like seafood at all, I'm going to go back for a few tokens of the whatever it's called,
I
wet brown
The
table beer.
shitty table beer.
Butt yeast ale.
The butt
yeast
yeast ale. I disagree with you because
Toilet water.
I know that I've had some seafood before and got in a world of trouble. And you know what? Gabs is about living dangerously, son.
Okay.
Like, at Gabs, I'll get crazy. I'll even try a Moondog beer. Like, I'm nuts. So I'm probably on the stout train.
On the stout train, eh? WEG, come on, final opinion. Who's going to win? Gabs.
Gronk.
Cronk them. Oh,
Cronk them.
that's
I don't
awful.
think you should do
No,
that.
you're not allowed to do that. You
No,
got
come
to
on.
put your money on.
I will have the stout.
You have the
You don't want the
stout.
butt juice.
I'll have the stout. And you know what?
Could be a good
It's
pick.
coming to Magnum.
Golf clap.
I think I'd choose the stout too.
I feel like I've been left in the lurch here, Tommy, and it's very disappointing. Yeah.
But you know that like 9 News would get in there and just cover the butt juice beer. Just like the festival of butt juice drinkers has entered the exhibition hall.
I think it could be a symbol that craft beer did end up going up its own arse in 10 years.
Oh, we are there already.
Good
So
line.
is America doing that right now? Is that what we're destined to follow?
No, so there has been a belly button beer at Gabs.
Oh,
Yeast from a belly button. There was a beard.
is that like vodka jelly shots or something from
Nah.
belly buttons?
There was a beard one,
They
and
harvested the yeast from the brewer's belly button.
yeah, and there was a beard one at. I think there was a beard one in America, and then there was another one we
the
went.
Rogue.
The Rogue.
Did a beer ale. Yep.
Yeah, and then we just won't talk about the other ones.
It's
'cause they
only a matter of time.
They get more raw from there. American beer is so great and so silly.
The last visibility on craft beer was it evaporating up someone's ass right at the end of it. But it was awesome. And no, I think I got to remember Crafty Pint won the media trophy at the Beervana a while ago with the old boisterous bicep, which was a mussel oyster Belgian Imperial Stout. So, Sam, it certainly can be a great combination, and it was made with Sean Sherlock when he was at
Great brewer.
now Foghorn, and he made a small sort of homebrew batch of this 12% Belgian Imperial Stout with mussels and oyster, and because he had to have the mussels from New Zealand. Some of the local native oysters from Australia, and it was a bloody beautiful beer. So it can be great.
Well, yeah. Side note, I was talking to Smokey from Currumbin today about their collab with Sailor's Grave for the Canvent this year, which was the AMA Lemon Myrtle Abalone Gosa.
Yep.
And I remember you weren't a big fan of it.
No.
I thought it was pretty fucking interesting, to be honest. Definitely going to split the pack. But yeah, the old oyster stout is not as unusual. Maybe serving an oyster / shellfish with the paddle is a bit different.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'd like to see Gabs handle that, please. I mean, they're never busy enough behind
Every
those paddle
single
stations.
person has to get their OH&S shellfish handling license and
I love-
Shucking going.
There's just one Gabs volunteer wearing those like oyster gloves, just like walking behind. Like, I'm on the oyster stout. I got this.
Oh, God.
Love it. They would love that.
Yeah.
And Craig's not there anymore, so we can't give him shit and tell him to do that.
No.
That's sad. All right.
Well, that's it, I think.
That's our show.
That is the show. Thank you, boys, for coming on. We're very appreciative of you.
Been a pleasure.
I think got a little bit of the history and, a little recipe out of you guys. So it's
Always nice to hear from Fixie.
yes.
We didn't even touch on all the Two Birds stuff.
No.
But, news people will do that. We might touch on that another time.
That's right. But, yeah. We'll piss off and go have some more West Coast, I think.
It's been bloody lovely. Wow, love you. Those West Coast
I love you.
Those West Coast are really hitting different. Like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
No, it has been bloody wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys, for having us on as well and having a chat, and really appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll see you soon either in Hobart or in Melbourne, and rock on, keep drinking.
We'll be
great
up.
beer.
We'll be up very soon. We'll be. Well, should we say that now? It's official now. Should we say it now, or should we save it for the Patreon?
Say it now if you want to.
No, we'll save it for the Patreon.
Oh,
We'll be up very soon. We'll be up very soon, and we'll announce that after the ending credits for our Patreon, and everyone else.
It's lovely to see our beers make it down to you guys as well. In
is
Hobart,
good.
so.
Always. It will be it'll be great that you guys will be busy at the tap room again, because that's what we want. But it was very nice to have some Fixie beers coming down.
Yeah, it was nice, and the can labels were absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
as
the
well.
can labels were great.
I can certainly say it got to Hobart way quicker than it gets to suburbs in Melbourne.
There was something freakish there. Like, we went and bought a whole heap of beer thinking it would just not turn up, and it was probably the fastest delivery I've had all year. Fantastic.
I do know that Ali has the posties in his pockets, so that's probably why.
Yeah, you are best friends with the postie now.
I do. Shout out to my former postman.
All right, let's fuck off.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Step Brewers podcast. If you like the show, be sure to rate, subscribe, and leave a review to help other beer lovers discover the podcast.